Thank you, everyone. It's another beautiful day. It's Monday, the first working day of the week, and this is a special welcome to Global Morning. My name is Ramsey Enoch. It has not changed, and it's not changing. That's a fixed deposit. And I'm excited that you are right there at the other side. So many things happened over the weekend. But then we are grateful to God that we are here today and you are there. Many thanks for joining us. I'm not here alone. This is Monday, and Mondays, as usual, I have Priscilla Obasi.
Good morning, Ramsey, and a beautiful morning to all our viewers. It's a beautiful Monday morning, especially for those in the Accord Party in Osun State. A beautiful Monday morning for Davido and his entire family. And if you want it to also be beautiful for you, it shall be a beautiful Monday morning for each and every one of us. But a lot happened over the weekend, as Ramsey said. And one of the major highlights from the weekend was the victory in Osun State in the Accord Party. It was a tough one. That was an election that practically everybody looked forward to. It was one that shook the entire country to a very large extent, and it was one of that election that people would use to project 2027, the outcome and what it will look like. People are rejoicing and saying, democracy really spoke at that election. We've seen aftermath. We've seen congratulatory messages flying left, right, center from celebrities, from politicians. One person must lose and one person must win in every competition, and then we see people try to make a caricature of the situation. But we are excited that we didn't hear of any violence. We didn't hear of any major loss whatsoever. It was maybe from the surface level, though I know it would have been deeper from the stakeholders and those that were majorly involved. But at least the fact that we didn't see fake news flying left, right, center on the internet and people agitating here and there means that largely it was a peaceful one, I would say. I don't know if it's because of the personalities involved in the election, or should we use this as a judgment for 2027? I really do not know at this point, because it's not an election that was held by it was an election that was contested by great personalities, and I think that played a major role in the success of the elections. But INEC has proven to be a credible umpire for my assessment, right? I don't know about you, and I don't know how Nigerians are taking it. Ramsey, what do you think? What do you say of the weekend activity in Osun State?
Of course, a lot of people never saw it coming, and of course, as it is right now, the Adeleke's family are excited. And I saw excitement with the Osun people too, because the celebration was massive. And that's to say the sitting governor is accepted by the people. This is one off-cycle election that we've had massive turnout, as it has been recorded. And of course, most of INEC equipment, instruments,
worked.
I didn't hear of glitches like it has been. We're talking about electronics here. There might be glitches at some points, but then probably it was controlled. But then from the situation room, even from observers, a lot of people have said, this election somehow works, I wouldn't say perfectly, but then it came as a shocker. Adeleke's winning, because for you to have the Senate president present in Osun State ahead of the election, the chairman of the Governors Forum, talking about Hope Uzodinma, the governor of Imo State, all on ground with other governors. I saw the arrival of Okpebolo and his team, and that video went viral because of the bragging right of the people, the Edo State entourage.
And even the banter between the Edo State governor and Davido.
The banter. And of course, the threat, everything. Davido wrote it. He wrote it. He said so many things about the Osun state governor. That's Davido rejoicing, you know, in the moment, waiting for the announcement. The moment he heard the announcement, he fell, and of course, this is jubilation. Sometimes you wouldn't know what people go through, you know, in times like this. This is that period that some people end up having high blood pressure, and some persons will rejoice. We saw a video making round where, should I say, imported voters from other places were arrested. And of course, they said a state lawmaker was involved, and that interview went by. But in spite of all of this, there was celebration, and something stood out for me with the governor. The governor, I don't know if it is some level of humility, you know, when he was thanking, the way he went around thanking the people of Osun State, and of course, the support he got from the Osun citizen, and when he prostrated and was thanking the elder sister, people who supported him, and finally he had to dance, you know, sing, dance. I saw a video where he was singing praises, you know, that probably MCR have that video where he was singing praises, dancing after winning the election.
Of course, he's
a dancing governor. I remember during his debate or the town hall meeting when he was saying, well, naturally he dances, that if they want to dance, they should tell him, he will teach them how to dance.
and then before the elections, we had some state governors mocking him and saying he might lose, and Davido might need, he should consider being signed by his nephew. Davido.
You know, I don't know. But the level people take politics in this part of the world, I don't know if that is what democracy is all about. When you see people fighting like this, I don't know. Tell the people what difference you're going to make, and leave it there for the people to decide. Instead of exchanging words, insulting, that doesn't show maturity for me, for our politicians.
It's a game, and they say all is fair in war.
It's a game, but then for mature politicians, you know, there is a way. If you're doing your campaign, there are better ways of talking down your opponent, to devalue your opponent, instead of insulting outrightly, you know, people who claim to be officials of government, high-profile leaders, you know, exchanging words, battering. You know, this is something that ordinarily children, the Gen Z, should be doing, and the millennial and the others should be calming them down.
We all have that baby in us at the end of the day.
But then it can be controlled when you get to a certain level. The thing is this, there is a level you get to, all right, as a politician, as a leader, as a public person, that you no longer live your life for yourself alone, but then you consider the people you are leading. Because as a leader, that's why they call you a leader. You are leading certain people. So there is a way you should live your life. But most importantly, the president had to put a call across to Deleke to congratulate him. That was in the news. And that speaks volume. All right, that speaks volume. Somebody was saying probably the president provided a fair playing ground. And INEC on their own part, I think going into 2027, a lot of people are saying, well, this is a footprint to what's going to happen in 2027, and this is politics. You can't take it away. You know, Adeleke, immediately he won. He still pledged his allegiance to the president, that he is working for the president in 2027. You know, a lot of people are saying, well, it's a campaign strategy, he's not going to do that. After winning his election, he's going to back out and all of that. But after the election, he still came out to say he is rooting for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in 2027.
Well, I think that's the politically right thing to do, right? Basically because he has not been given the certificate of return yet.
Okay, something people say probably because he want to win the election. Now he has won the election.
Everything has still come up. It's too early to be disloyal.
See, politicians, I don't think politicians think that. If you want to talk about loyalty, it's not in APC. It's in our core party.
Yes.
Ordinarily, you are supposed to be loyal, all right, to an extent to your president.
But at the end of the day, is it Adeleke that determines who wins presidency in Osun State? I think it's up to the people.
No, he's talking about his support. He didn't say his support of Osun State.
He is free to support who he wants to support.
And that's the reason he's supporting the president.
It shouldn't mean that the people of Osun State must support who he is supporting.
Should I tell you how politics work in Nigeria?
I understand that, but I'm just saying this to electorate. And we are at that point in Nigeria where everybody should think for themselves. I understand the power of influence and
Good.
how political figures play a very major role. In short, influencers, entertainers play a major role. But we have come to that point in Nigeria where you shouldn't be influenced to vote for anyone. And that's what democracy should be. Yes, your faith can tell you I support this person. It doesn't mean that you should support the person. Your pastor can tell you I support this. Your imam can tell you I support this person. It doesn't mean you should vote for a person because you are convinced. That is what democracy is, and that is where Nigeria is at this point. Because whoever it is that is pledging for whoever they are pledging for, don't forget that when the going gets tough and the tough gets going, that person might have the capacity to scale through. You may not have that capacity to scale through.
I think you're speaking generally to Nigeria.
Yes, I'm speaking to Nigeria.
But I think I was particular about Adeleke, what Adeleke did, and people's perception.
It doesn't matter who he decides to support. For me, I understand.
It matters.
People should
it is his opinion,
yes.
And it's not forcing anyone to support the president alongside. Everyone have decided. So what happened in Osun State should even give us at least a snippet to what you are saying. You say a lot of people, should I tell you the truth? There are a lot of people in our court party that did not even believe that Adeleke was going to win.
Exactly.
He won.
Yes.
And the people came out. The people came out. I don't know, but it's in the public space that money was being given out higher than whatever our court party was given, probably. Because now you can't even exonerate any political party.
Yes.
I don't know. But you're not even sure you cannot exonerate any political party now that they don't buy votes because of what's happening. I don't know.
No, our party was put to test. Like from INEC deregistering them at first, trying to deregister, or a court giving an order to deregister them, and all. Then them coming back. It was a very tough one. It was
very tough.
It was tempting. It was, it was something to.
I saw when the governors and the Senate president, when they were marching, when they were, I don't know where they were coming down from. I saw that video in their regalia, and I was like, wow, this is going to be a tough one. But then when Adeleke won, I was like, wow, what is this? And all through the videos that I saw, all through, he was praying, he was, and the people of Osun State came out en masse because of the information we heard about people who were unalived by oppositions and all of that, allegedly. Yeah. Some people were like, will people come out? People will say, well, and this is going to be. But I saw where people stood.
Yeah,
people stood.
I think that's the most fascinating part of
it. Cutting the material that the driver was trying to make a call, and they say, no, don't make any call until you drop this material.
People waited at the collation center. People did not sleep.
Now that's a serious.
It was.
Can we have a repeat of this president in 2027?
Of course, I think this gives the possibility of having a free and fair.
It happened in 2023 with the Labour Party.
I think one thing that went wrong with Labour Party then was they didn't have the structure. They didn't have full representation everywhere. So people would stay and watch their votes count at their polling units. But when they take that vote from the polling units and go to maybe the collation center, something else can happen. So structure is very key for winning an election.
APC said something. You know what they said? They said, well, you cannot completely celebrate victory at this point, that they will explore every necessary legal means, all right, after carrying out their investigation. But then it's common in politics in Nigeria, and this is the time for the judiciary, all right, the umpire body, to actually prove themselves in case the case gets to court, all right, because this is all about the people. There's a way you push people to the wall that they react. All right, everyone, this is the time now for us to give you at least just a tip of what you may want to have for breakfast. All right, everyone, let's take a quick break as we bring you taste and texture.
Hello guys, this is to specially welcome you to this episode of Taste and Texture, and I assure you it will be as engaging as it will be eye-opening. On the show, we're going to prepare a tasty delicacy and we will be preparing it from scratch. In today's episode of the program, we'll be preparing yamarita, which is also known as golden yam. This dish is always a delicious and simple breakfast option. Ingredients: yam, eggs, flour, salt, seasoning, paprika, oil and water. How to prepare: cut and peel your yam. Slice the yam into thick rectangular sizes. Wash the sliced yam and add to a pot. Add water and salt, then cover to cook. In a plate, add flour, seasoning, paprika or any spice of your choice, then mix together. Crack 2 eggs into a bowl, add salt and whisk. Check on your yam. Once it is cooked, set aside to cool down. Coat the cooked yam with flour, dip in the egg, then coat with flour again. Repeat the process 2 to 3 times. Heat up your oil with some onions and drop the coated yam one by one. Fry the yam till golden brown on medium heat till you are done. There you have it, your breakfast yamarita is ready. You can pair it with pepper sauce and enjoy. That's it on today's episode of the program Taste and Texture. Hope you will try these recipes in your various homes and hope you enjoyed the program. Join me same time next week for another episode of the program. It has been Saadatu Garba, your host. Thank you for watching this installment of the program. Please join me next time for something fresh and inspiring.
Well, that's sumptuous. I mean, that's perfect for breakfast, in my opinion. I don't know about Ramsey though, but I think it will pass. No, it will not pass out. It works for me for breakfast. I don't know about you viewers. Of course, everything we're doing here is to inspire you. So ultimately, you are our major concern. Does this work for you? Please give it a try this morning. Make sure you eat well. Eat well. Now who chop? Now in the walk. Abby, how do they put it? But your breakfast is quite important. Do not joke with it. Your health is also important while trying to eat. Eat healthy. Well, that was inspiration for your tummy. The next inspiration you need is motivation for your day. Something to get you productive, not just for today, but at least to start your week with. And that brings us to Inspirational by Ramsey. Now over to Ramsey as he brings us Inspirational for today.
I want to say your day is blessed. Why do I have to say so? Because you are a blessed child. Because God have something very beautiful packed for this day for you. But then I want us to look at something very beautiful today. Let's talk heart to heart. It takes someone who cares about you to talk to your heart to heart. My name is Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Now, I want us to speak to our hearts on a very powerful subject that is titled Guard Your Hope. All right, guard your hope, guard it, guard it. Your hope, guard it. Don't do it anyhow. Just guard it. Yeah, of course, we're living in a very difficult times. Everyone is aware of that. But then, many people are tired. Many people are frustrated. Prices are rising. Jobs are scarce. Businesses are struggling on a daily basis. And of course, many young people are asking questions. When will things get better? Sometimes some kids at home even ask their parents, because some parents complain every time. Why are we facing all of this? When are things going to be better? Sometimes you think these things are peculiar to you alone. No, it's not. It's not peculiar to you alone. The way you handle situations matters so much. But in the middle of all these challenges, one thing you must never lose is your hope. Guard it, no matter what. Because they said a living dog is better than a dead lion. And that's the truth. Because the day a person loses hope is the day they stop fighting for a better future. Nigeria, for instance, it's built on hope. Every morning, Nigerians wake up early, enter buses, open their shops, go to farm, some go to their offices, some go to the market, some go to the construction site, depending on what you are doing. That is someone that has hope. All right? You won't just sit down and fold your arms. These things are being done because they still believe that tomorrow can be better. Powerful. Now, hope is a powerful thing. A student reading with a torchlight, all right, doing blackout is operating on hope. A mother that is selling akara by the roadside today as we speak to train her children is surviving on hope. A graduate, for instance, all right, learning a skill after years of unemployment is holding on to hope. So what am I trying to say? Hope is what keeps people moving when life becomes difficult. That's why you need to guard your hope. You need to protect your hope. You don't need to allow anyone bring negativity to you. All right? Keep pushing. And that's the reason you need to guard your hope. But now, let us also be honest. Hope is under serious attack today. A lot of people's hope is under serious attack today, because most times someone told me something some times back, and they said, well, there are some channels I don't watch because the moment you put it on, only negative news. War here, this one here, this one that, negative news, disappointments, betrayals. Those are the things you watch. Failed promises, hardship. Of course, comparison on social media is everywhere. I don't know, a lot of people, most times, people talk about social media today because we are in a digital age, of course. And, you know, if you begin to compare yourself with what you see on social media, right, which may not be real, what does it do? It weakens people. It weakens your mentality. It weakens people's belief. It destroys your hope. Because you feel, well, this person is like this, why am I not like that? This person is also a graduate. No, these are people operating on different chapters. Some people even started this year with dreams, but along the line, discouragement entered their hearts. As we speak today, a lot of people, if you ask them today, all right, you had a lot of resolutions, things you want to achieve in 2026 when this year got started. But where are you today? Some people don't even know where that paper is right now as we speak, because their hope has been dashed. And that is why you must guard your hope carefully. Don't allow temporary situations to convince you that your future is finished. Never. Your future is not finished. No, you don't need to be negative. You don't need to sound negative. One thing that I never do, and I will never do, is staying around negative people. Most times I mind my business. Where there is negativity, where there is bad blood, I avoid it. That's my kind of person. Because there are some things you don't need to give your ears to. There are some things you don't need to hear. Deliberately move out of such associations, such gatherings, if you can. But then try as much as possible, especially when it's affecting your hope and your belief, especially when it's affecting your journey of destiny. Many successful Nigerians today once passed through painful seasons. There are even business owners today who once sold products under the hot sun with no customers. There are actors, musicians, journalists like we are, and even entrepreneurs who were rejected many times before succeeding. Have you not gone for an interview before and you were treated like, wow, you don't know anything? But there is an organization somewhere who needs your services. So I tell people all the time, don't be where you are tolerated. Always be where you are celebrated. Right? One thing that is permanent is change. That's the only constant thing. Imagine if they had given up. Hope does not mean pretending problems do not exist. Problems exist. For real. Yeah, that's it. But hope means believing that problems are not permanent. They come and go. They are transient. There is a popular Nigerian saying that no condition is permanent, and that's very true. The rain does not actually fall forever. The night does not last forever. Tough seasons eventually change. But while waiting for change, protect your mindset. Guard your heart jealously, because out of it comes the issue of life. Even the Holy Book says so. Dare be careful who speak into your life. Yeah, be careful. I think that's very important. Be careful who speak into your life. If anybody is speaking negative thing into your life, if anybody is telling you you have this, you have that, and it is a negative statement, return it back to them immediately. Reject it, because you are a hopeful person, but because you may not be where you are expecting to be at a very particular point in time, does not mean you are not going to get there. So don't allow anyone talk you down. Don't allow anyone mess your destiny up because they are at a very maybe peak of their life, or maybe because they have one position or the other, or maybe they are richer, or maybe they have more opportunity than you are at a very particular point in time. Don't allow anyone talk you down. Don't allow anyone say negative things into your ear all the time. Anyone that tells you you can't, always stay hopeful. Guard your hope and tell them you can. No should not be an answer. It should not be something you take. All right? So, as a matter of fact, some people destroy hope with negativity, like I said, and every day they speak fear, they speak failure, they speak discouragement, they stay around people who inspire. You see, one thing you need to do, people who destroy your inspiration are not worth staying around them. You don't need them. You don't need them. People who are always discouraging you, people who are always promoting failure, people who are always speaking fear, you don't need to stay around them, all right? What do you have to do? Try as much as possible to stay around people who inspire growth, wisdom, faith, and stop comparing your life with others. Social media, I keep saying this, has made people feel behind in life. No. Some buy new cards online and another person suddenly feel like, oh, this, when, oh God, when? Listen carefully. Your journey is different from every other person. Some people bloom today, some people blow early, like Nigerians will say, and others blow later. So blow, not blow. Success, not success. It depends on when yours comes, all right? So do everything and stay positive, and be careful who you listen to. Be careful what you allow into your ear, into your heart, because out of the heart, all right, so many things comes out. So guard your hope jealously. Have a wonderful time. I believe someone has been talked to positively. I wish you all the best. See you at the other side of success. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you very much, Ramsey, for that. I mean, I'm well charged up for my week. Right now, we dive to the newspaper review segment, and we are starting with the Daily Independent. First story above the nameplate, top left corner. 2027, my joint ticket with Obi can defeat any party. That's coming from one post. So I thought we're seeing rumors that Obi and Atiku alliance again. I don't know where I saw that though, but I believe it's rumor. Here is a detail that you want to read to debunk any rumors you've also seen. Next story, El-Rufai sues ICPC for 10 billion naira over alleged denial of family access. Season of lawyers. The Star story, Nigeria's external borrowing to rise on higher financing needs. Oshun poll. Syrup asks INEC, EFCC, ICPC to probe vote buying violence. Details on page 7. Article hits out at Tinubu over oil refineries, urges accountability. Details on page 6. Oshun poll. Governor Oyebanji hails Adeleke's victory, comments Tinubu. Details on page 7. Federal government doubles down on national security diaspora engagement. Details on page 7. Adeleke dedicates electoral victory to Oshun people. APC weighs legal action, says election process not over. Adeleke's triumph attests to flourishing democracy. That's coming from Tinubu. Oshun poll is forerunner of 2027 general election. Atiku has that. And finally, 2026 Nigerian Economic Summit targets job productivity growth. Details on page 6. Those are your headlines for the Daily Independent. Next port of call is the Nation newspaper.
All right, let's quickly look at the Nation's newspaper and see the headlines that we have there. Above the nameplate, we have this one which says EFCC recovers $60 million in ongoing Nestor investigation. And now to the Star story. The Star story is about the election. Of course, Tinubu Adeleke's victory shows deepening democracy. We have some riders to that story. This one says victorious governor pledges support for president's re-election. Tinubu INEC gets kudos. Alright, Tinubu INEC gets kudos from Nigeria. Bank of Industry's maiden development bond oversubscribed in 5 working days. Bank CEO attributes feat to president. That's a good one. I think probably there have been more orientation. Senator Yari recommended for sponsoring the 2026 3-day annual leadership summit of the Nigerian artisans and technicians as they endorse Tinubu 2027 second term with a pledge to deliver over 5 million votes. All right, NNPCL GCO, all right, this is not too clear, has no statutory rule in licensing, all right, C and story. Well, that's not so clear on the papers. You can pick a copy of the Nations to go through it yourself. And those are the headlines for you this morning on the Nation's newspaper as we move to Daily Trust.
Thank you, Ramsey. The Daily Trust's newspaper has its first story below the nameplate, below the nameplate exactly there. Flawed residents, stranded vehicles submerged in Abuja. There is the whole video circulating on social media about the flood incident, and it doesn't look good at all. Okay, read up that detail on page 28. Student, 4 workers die in Kano building collapse. Details on page 10. That is a sad one there. 2027 Accord AAC SDP presidential candidates join forces against Tinubu. Well, interesting, right? I think that details right there on page 26. How Osun election was won, lost. Okay, that lost is supposed to be for APC. Okay, the one is supposed to be for Accord Party. $25 billion Nigerian Morocco gas pipeline dream drags. For why? Exactly. Details on page 6. Over 4,000 abandoned mine pits in Plateau. Alake has that detail. That's Minister of Minerals and Solid. Minister of Solid Minerals. Page 48 is where you find that. Teacher allegedly set wife ablaze. Details on page 54. How do we get to this point? How do people get to this point? Police detained for shooting trader at checkpoint. Details on page 51. Those are your headlines for the Daily Trust. Next port of call is the Vanguard newspaper.
All right, let's quickly flip through the Vanguard and see what we have right there. On the Vanguard newspaper this morning, we have this major headline, beginning from, of course, below the nameplate, why Adeleke won again in Osun State. And of course, some riders to that story, division in APC. Governor Adeleke's regular payment of salaries. INEC conduct prompt upload of results on IREV. INEC is just getting accolade for this election. The timely upload, there was nothing like no network, this. They said it's part of why he won in Osun State, that there is division in APC, then Adeleke's regular payment of salaries, then INEC's conduct prompt upload of result on IREV. Adeleke declares no victory, no vanquish. No victory, no vanquish. Well, that's good. No retreat, no surrender. Some will say no victory, no victor. No victor, no vanquish. So it is all about the Osun people. Clashes with Keyemo over support for Tinubu. Well, we'll talk about that probably much later. Then EFCC recovers 60 million US dollars in ongoing Nest Oil investigation. And now this one says import. All right, this is talking about the import in Nigeria. It says import choke textile industry rise to 1.1 trillion naira in 2 years. 2027, I'm not bothered about spare tire. All right, tag for VPs. This is Kwankwaso. All right, opposition parties must bury air goals to defeat APC in 2027. This is coming from Duke. The details read on page 10. Concession of King's College. Parents mobilizes for protest. Ranching plan sparks fresh war between Governor Alia and PDP. That is Benue. I think Benue is going through so much. This looks like a distraction for the people of Benue State. Benue is going through so much as it has to do with insecurity and the rest. So branching should be the least thing. Otondo did most of the work before he left office. This one says 2027 Accord AAC SDP presidential candidates join forces against Tinubu. All right, those are the headlines for you today on the Vanguard newspaper as we move to New Telegraph.
Okay, thank you very much, Ramsey. The New Telegraph has its first story above the nameplate. EFCC recovers $60 million in ongoing Nest Oil investigation. CBN demands deposit up 8.3% to record 39.7 trillion naira in H1 2026. Details on page 25. Alleged denial to family. El-Rufai files fresh 10 billion naira suit against ICPC. Details on page 27. NNPCL insiders exonerate Ijulari from awarding oil blocks. Details on page 2. Ripples over CJN's directive on removal of barrister title. Lawyers ask CJN to clarify position on the use of title. Page 14 and 16 is where you see that detail. US ends temporary protection for 4 African countries. Iran offers $30,000 bounty for capturing US soldier. Details on page 5. The star story is on Oshun Guba, the forces behind Adeleke's second term victory. 3 riders to that. The first one, about 5 riders actually. Governor's victory, fitting assurance, democracy will flourish in Nigeria, coming from Tinubu. Kalu hails Adeleke, says Tinubu's prospect in Oshun very bright despite APC's loss. I don't know why APC are trying to just insert themselves into this victory by all means. Adeleke thanks God. Oshun people seeks peace, unity, woos opponents amidst residents' jubilation as 50,000 naira gone down the drain song rents the air. We are studying poll results to determine next line of action. Oshun APC. Article Obi others congratulate Adeleke. Page 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 27, and 29 respectively is where you see all of those details. And next story, Obasanjo leads senior citizens on walk in Abeokuta. Details on page 26. Benue, terrorists kill several farmers in Delhi attack. Downpour wreak havoc. Many houses submerged. Details on page 28 and 29. Related to that, Obosi, Anambra, residents beg for government intervention in ecological challenges. 2027, real reason I chose to be Obi's running mate, Kwankwaso. Leadership degeneration in Nigeria devastating, Ezekwesili says. Restructuring will not lead to disintegration. Page 2, page 9, and page 10 is where you see those details. Rebel Coalition. Coalition Committee meets Fubara, agrees on modalities for peace, says no one will be victimized. Details on page 5. Finally, ultra-processed foods may raise prostate cancer risk in men. That's coming from the study. Details on page 30. Please, every man must read this. Get a copy of the News Telegraph. Your health, they say, is wealth. Next point of call is the Daily Times.
All right, let's quickly look at the Daily Times newspaper for you this morning. On the Daily Times newspaper, we have a couple of headlines for you. And of course, this one says local government polls. All right. Opposition parties boycott Bauchi election over fees and timetable. In business, Nigeria's external debt hits $51.9 billion as Eurobonds World Bank dominates. And of course, we have some other headlines here. This one says El-Rufai slams a 10 billion naira suit against ICPC for alleged denial of family access. I'm not bothered about being a spare tire vice president. I'm not bothered of being a spare tire vice president. That's to tell you how serious Kwankwaso is for 2027. You know, sometimes people say a lot of things, but you decide to pick which one to work with based on wisdom. And now the big story, the star story of the Daily Times says Adeleke's victory assurance of flourishing democracy in Nigeria. That is President Tinubu. 3 riders to that story. Governor promises support for president in 2027. We are studying results. APC, Atiku, ADC, PDP. Kalo congratulates Accord candidate, which is Adeleke himself. And those are the headlines for you today on the Daily Times. Let's quickly look at the Nation's newspaper.
The Nation's newspaper? I think think I have the hope here.
Okay, the hope, I beg your pardon.
The hope.
The hope.
Okay, Nigeria. Let's start with the very first story above the nameplate. NDLEA arrests India-bound businessman with cocaine, recovers 3.6 billion naira drugs. There is rather to that quite blurry from my end, but you will see that when you get a copy. Fake drugs kill faster than bandits. Unitmed CMD has that. Wike signs 26,276 Cs of O in 3 years of Tinubu's administration. That's coming from an aide. Star story, re-election, Tinubu, Atiku, Obi, Saraki, others congratulate Governor Adeleke. APC mounts legal challenge, studies results from 332 words. Adeleke leads Oyebanji with 66,256 votes, endorses Tinubu for 2027. Makinde ADC Nans hails victory, urge governor to deliver on renewed mandate. Details on page 3. Federal government reaffirms commitment to security diaspora engagement. Details on page 3. 100,000 naira traffic offense fine. NURTW lawyer kick against hike. Civil society backs move to curb accidents. Details on page 3. El-Rufai sues ICPC for 10 billion naira over alleged denial to family access. Details on page 3. Finally, U.S. ends temporary protection for 4 African countries. Details on page 7. Next, what I call is the Guardian newspaper.
Okay, let's take the Standard Times instead,
Okay.
which is going to be our last. All right, so let's just round it off with the Standard Times. All right, Standard Times newspaper for you this morning. On the Standard Times newspaper, we have some major headlines here, and the first one says NUPRC plans crude swap to boost refinery supply. Very important. And we also have the Star story on the Standard Times newspaper. The Star story says Oshun Guba, after victory, Adeleke endorses Tinubu for 2027 presidency. Very important. And of course, just to write as their APC may challenge result in court. Well, Serap seeks probe of vote buying. Almost all the political parties are culprit, according to what we heard, the reports coming. Sugar Council moves to unlock $1 billion investment that accelerates drive for self-sufficiency. That's very important. This one says retail investors raise stake as 5 low-cap stocks record 200% gains. Details you can find on page 13. Man arrested for allegedly setting wife ablaze in Lokoja. That's uncalled for. FCT. Wike signs 26,272 certificates of occupancy under Tinubu. Details read on page 62. NNPC Seplat Energy JV empowers first cohort of teachers in Imo through STEP. All right. Ondo, our Ome Port, ANLCA, NAGAF, MW and others threaten to boycott. Okay, and of course, finally from the Standard Times newspaper this morning at the footer, Union Bank of Nigeria attains PCIBSS V8.0.1 certification. Banks are growing by the day. And those are the headlines for you this morning on the Standard Times newspaper. At about this time, we will bring you Social Buzz. But before then, we'd like to notify you that Global Television does not have editorial contribution to any of the newspaper headlines. It's entirely that of the various newspaper houses. Now, we'll bring you Social Buzz by Ogochukwu Mobuno.
In an age of breaking news, you need a trusted source that prioritizes accurate, factual, and unbiased reporting. This is AM News, and I am Ubong Usoro.
On global television, our news is rooted in verified and authoritative storytelling that keeps you educated, informed, and enlightened on all the issues that matter to you. I am Sadia Yakubu. This is Midday News.
You can trust our multi-platform news broadcast, real-time and fast-check stories for all the big local and foreign headlines round the clock. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo. This is News Express.
Our array of anchors delivers the news to our teeming viewers, breaking it down with context and perspective. This is News Cycle on Global Television. I am Anieti Patrick.
And the flagship news is your hub for the day's most engaging stories. This is News Prime, and I am Jumai Manson.
Did you miss any of our news rounds? No worries. Catch up at 10 p.m. and midnight, 7 days of the week. I am Mukhtar Kasim.
Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. We're active across all social media platforms at Global TV NG.
At Witchtech Cables, we don't just make cables, we deliver excellence. Our products are built with advanced technology, trusted for their unmatched quality and durability. With a wide range of cables, swift delivery, and continuous innovation, we stay ahead of the market demand. We are proudly Nigerian, fully indigenous, yet world-class. Backed by a professional team, strong technical support, and a deep commitment to customer satisfaction. Witchtech Cables is more than a brand, it's a promise. Witchtech Cables, quality cables, better than the best.
When social media speaks, we listen and we bring you the extra. It's your one-stop shop for trends, tweets, and the tea everyone's sipping on. Join the conversation, share your thoughts, and get that extra dose of what's shaking the internet.
And on issues making wave on social media to your doorstep.
Social Boss Extra, where the trend meets the talk, only on Global TV.
Good morning, Nigerians and viewers around the world. It's time to club buzzing issues making the rounds on social media. And I must tell you that it has been raining victory since Saturday election in Osun State. So the people of Osun State have decided, and yes, Governor Ademola Adeleke was re-elected as the governor of Osun State. So much jubilations across the state, and so many persons were happy. You know, in as much as we really want to talk about this, I want to talk about the lessons that have been learned, from this election. We saw this election was almost looking like the general presidential election of 2027, and so much was happening. We saw trolls from different parts, both on social media, live from different governors, and at one point I was asking myself, should election look like war? Should this feel like war? I understand that it is more like a game. Somehow I look at the election like a game, whoever is smart enough should win, or whoever does the right thing should win. But then again, it shouldn't be war, because at one point it was looking like war. We saw different governor, from Governor Gwewolo of Edo State, and also Hope Uzodinma of Imo State, and so many backlashes from different senators and all of that, coming towards Governor Ademola Adeleke. But then again, yes, the people of Osun State have decided, and they have said this person is going to return. We like him. We love what he's doing. The lesson that has been learned here, I want to pick, is from Davido, the nephew to Governor Ademola Adeleke. We saw this, resilience. We saw this, action. He didn't just speak. He put in the work. We saw him on almost every, he was there during the primaries down to the campaigns. He has been there, and he said he was going to remain there until August 2015 and August 15th, I beg your pardon, 2026, until everything has been concluded. And he was there until everything was concluded. And we need to give it up to him. Family is everything, like they always say. Family is all we have. And this brings me to we being together. Let's be strong together, work together as a family in Nigeria, work in unity. We need to, imbibe this culture of unity so we can be able to vote for people we want to vote for. Let's, do not sell your votes. Very important. Do not sell your votes. I understand that it might be tempting, bringing money to you, thousands of naira, especially in this economy we are right now in Nigeria. It's very, very tempting. You want to sell your vote, you want to get that penny, but please, for all it is worth, do not sell your vote, because when you sell it for penny, you should know that you're selling it for a 4-year term. 4 years. 4 years. If you sell your vote for 50,000 naira, you have 4 years to live with that 50,000 naira, and you know it's not going to take you anywhere. Even for a month, it's not going to take you. So let's unite and make sure. I always say you should know that these public office holders are supposed to serve you. So if you are electing them, make sure you elect a better person. Just like when you're getting a maid, you get someone that you know can serve you properly. So when you're electing them, make sure you look properly, you elect a better person. Well, we are going to be looking at some comments as regards this particular issue, election. So the first person I'm taking here is Simply Free Me. And Free Me said, can you see the power of a family that builds as one team? When everyone stands together, support each other, and moves with one vision, nothing can break that bond. Yes, we're learning family unity here. The next comment today we're taking is from Automobile Poacher. And Automobile said, if all Nigerians decide the same way the people of Osun did this year, vote wisely for the candidates of their choice, and protect the integrity of their votes, and ensure that every vote counts in the upcoming 2027 general elections, Nigeria would undoubtedly be a better country. Of course it will be. The last but not the least comment coming from Andy Grandeur, and Andy says, Osun State should be proud of having an illustrious son like Davido. He resisted intimidation, oppression, and suppression against all odds. Osun people deserve good governance. APC Hamaka, congratulations to Imole. Well, the thing is, it's a game of one person wins and one person loses. So it's just that APC was the strong power, contending power there, compared to Accord there, in all of these people. And yes, congratulations once again to Governor Demola Adeleke of Osun State. I'm not alone today in this studio. I'm not going to be talking alone at all, but we're channeling this whole election thing towards unity, towards resilience of the people, all right? So I have with me Priscilla Obasi. Good morning, Priscilla.
Good morning, Ogochukwu.
It's a Monday morning. The way you folded your hands, what happened? What's going on? Aren't you happy?
I'm trying to unite.
It's Monday. It's Monday morning. You should be active. I think I'm very, very active on Mondays.
Okay.
I must have rested very over the weekend.
I'm happy for you.
I assume you must have rested over the weekend.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so how was it? The election that everyone has been waiting for.
I mean,
the Osun election.
It was a movie.
It was a movie.
Yeah,
it
was an interesting
movie.
Yeah.
So what would you say you learned from this particular election?
Well, I learned, just as you have highlighted, there's nothing like family support. Davido is such he goes out for his family. We've seen it over and over. He's a family-oriented person, and anyone that's a family-oriented person would make good success of especially marital relationships, and we see that reflects very much in his marital relationship. So family anytime, and the unity is key. There's nothing, and at the same time too, please let's not forget that there are different family dynamics. Stop the comparison, because I've seen people coming out to say, can you imagine the Adelekes if only the Okoyes? What's the business? Like,
what was about the Okoyes?
I saw a video that the Freeze did that.
Really? But why would that the Freeze do that?
The Okoyes
compare to his own family.
I don't understand.
He should compare it to his own family.
Exactly.
So of course, I'm sure that the Freeze that I know should not be talking to some persons in his family.
Thank you. They're dynamics, and people do not really pray to find themselves, or people do not dream, don't plan to find themselves in some situations. And there are people that their generation, their forefathers have worked. So whatever you see coming out today is not a Davido's work. I mean, it took years and years of parents, intentional grandparents, intentional great grandparents, intentional forefathers. You get, and the last generation, or the generation we see right now, reap the reward, and they just want to continue. There are people that their forefathers have sown seed of discord that it's difficult. It's very difficult for you to come and start fixing right now. It will take another years of people trying to mend. Then a later generation will now be able to fix it. So let us stop the comparison. As much as we admire the unity, we admire this family, we admire whatever it is that's going on. Of course, they will have days that they have this, the ups and downs. But let's know that it took years of hard work to make this happen, and people are only trying their best. Stop the comparison. Basically, that's what I'm saying. But unity is big, anytime, any day. Anytime, any day. I like the word day. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Priscilla, for your contribution to today's topic. We really appreciate. We have a lineup of discussions for you here on Global Morning today. Of course, the election just ended, but then there's still more, because we're waiting for 2027. The big one. And yes, this is where we are closing the curtains today for Social Buzz on Global Morning. Please stay with us as Ramsey and Priscilla will be bringing us into the discussion section of Global Morning. I am Albert Kumobna. Once again, good morning, Nigerians and viewers around the world. Bye for now.
When social media speaks, we listen and we bring you the extra. It's your one-stop shop for trends, tweets, and the tea everyone's sipping on. Join the conversation. Share your thoughts and get that extra dose of what's shaking the internet.
And on issues making wave on social media to your doorstep.
Social Buzz Extra, where the trend meets the talk, only on Global TV.
Glad to have you with us. Saturday came with a heavy downpour across